Hi, my name is Aisha Formansky here with Beaducation.com, and I'm going to show you how to etch today. Now this is a super cool technique, and we're going to use brass, copper, and nickel silver to make one-of-a-kind pendants. Now etching is really cool. We're going to use ferric chloride solution, we're going to soak it, and what's going to happen is it's going to remove the metal where we don't put resist. So let's move on to safety. When working with chemicals, it's important to wear safety glasses, rubber gloves, an apron, and work in a well-ventilated area away from your pets and kids. For more information on the chemicals you use, you can always do an internet search for the Material Safety Data Sheet, also known as the MSDS. This sheet will give you all the information about what the chemical contains and what you should do if anything does go wrong. Also, contact your local hazardous material office and they can help you properly dispose of the solution when you're all done. So let's get started. These are the tools and materials you're going to need to etch. Rubber gloves, safety glasses, baking soda, disposable container, plastic spoon, and an apron. Toothpicks, pair of scissors, ferric chloride etchant, another plastic container and lid, and packing tape. Permanent markers. I have a fine tip and a standard permanent marker here, super fine steel wool, a permanent ink pad, and a variety of rubber stamps. These are a variety of blanks that you can etch: nickel silver, copper, brass, and single clad. Single clad's really cool because one side has sterling silver clad on it, and the core is copper, so this side is exposed. Can you see that? So in this technique, you can etch the copper side and leave the silver side. And it's really nice and thick, so they're really great. The first thing you're going to want to do is prepare your blanks. Now, the blanks might come with a little machine oil from when they were stamped. So you want to wash that off with a little soap and water, make sure to get that all off. What I like to do is use a little steel wool. This is 4/0 or 0000 steel wool. And I just take this and I rub my blanks. This is nice, it gets them nice and cleaned up. It's a little messy, but that's okay. Just like that. This bracelet bar here, this nickel silver. Get this nice and cleaned up. The reason we want to do this is that if there's any oils left on the metal from machining, it'll interact with the etchant and not allow the metal to etch just the way you want it to. You're going to need to protect the edges of your blank from the etchant. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to use permanent marker and we're going to apply it to the edges of the blank. This permanent marker is going to work as a resist and the etchant won't be able to eat through it. So go all the way around, making sure that you're getting a nice, consistent, thick application of permanent marker. All the way around, just like that. The next step is applying your blank onto a piece of packing tape. So here I have it's about a 2-inch strip of packing tape, and I'm going to take the blank and lay it down and apply it to the packing tape. Just like this. I'm going to push it down, burnishing it down, making sure that it's nice and tight and sealed on the packing tape, and then fold the sides over, kind of making a little tray or a little holder for the blank. But also the packing tape is going to protect the blank from being etched on the back. Just like that. Even gonna trim this down a little bit. Like that. Now I'm going to show you how to use a marker to draw your design on the surface of the blank and then etch it. The fun begins now. This is a super fun project because I do this on my couch at night while watching TV, because I just grab a bunch of blanks and sit with my marker and just draw away and doodle. It's a great project that can be taken almost anywhere. So one of my best friends just had a baby and his name is Asher. So we're gonna make her a mother's bracelet with his name on it here. So I like to start in the middle of the blank. Helps keep things a little bit more balanced. Now if you watch how I do this, see how I'm going back and forth and retracing over the letters? You want to make sure that the ink is nice and thick, that it's applied thickly, and that your lines are nice and wide. Let's add a little decoration to it. The other way to apply resist is to use a permanent ink pad, like Stays-On ink, and a rubber stamp, which is super fun. And how you do this is take your rubber stamp here, nice coating there of ink. Can you see the little bubbles on the surface? There's a lot of ink on there. So I'm actually going to remove some of it. Just remove a little bit of the excess. And bring your blank in. Now remember that you want to apply the ink to the side that you cleaned. So I'm going to flip this over. Lie it down directly on the stamp, being careful not to move it around too much. You may get a little ink on your fingers, but even though this is permanent, it does come off your hands with a little soap and water. And then just very carefully pick it up, just like that. Earlier I was talking about creating a thick, consistent line with your permanent marker. And what I do now is I let this dry a little bit, and I'm going to go back in with my fine point permanent marker, and I'm going to fill in the areas where the ink didn't fill in. I've got this blank all prepared and ready to go. I'm wearing my gloves and my safety glasses and my apron. I always want to push safety here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a long strip of packing tape, like this. I'm going to place it on the table, sticky side up. So it's a little tricky when you have the gloves on, but it is doable. Sticky side up. Take my blank on its little tape tray, place it in the center of the tape, and press it down. This tape is going to allow us to suspend the blank in the solution. Now I'm going to place the blank, there it is with its pretty design, face down, and I'm going to submerge it. Now what's important here is that the piece is submerged but not touching the bottom of the container. So once I have it down in the container, I'm going to tape one side, double check the depth, and tape the other side. Now I leave the pieces in the solution for 20 minutes. 20 minutes seems to be a great amount of time to get a nice deep etch. As the solution becomes heavy with metals, or the more it's used, the less it will work. So you might go to check the piece and you want to leave it in for 5 to 10 more minutes. I usually do 5-minute increments once it starts getting a little older, and that seems to work pretty well. So let's let this etch for 20 minutes and come back and I'll show you how to check the depth of the etch. Alrighty, 20 minutes has passed, so let's check on our piece. And take the lid off here. What I do is I remove or pull back the tape just from one side here. That's gonna allow me to bring the piece up. Let's rotate here so you can see it's kind of, I try to keep the whole thing contained in the bowl here. And then I take a toothpick, a wooden toothpick, and I just glide it across the surface, and I'm just checking the depth of my etch. And I have a nice lip here. You can see how it's being jostled around because I keep hitting the edges. So that's pretty good. Now, if I wanted it to etch deeper, I would put it in for 5 more minutes and check it. If I wanted it deeper, 5 more minutes and check it. If you left it in here and completely forgot about it, it would etch completely through the metal. So this is pretty good. Let's take this out and put it in our baking soda bath to neutralize it. This is actually kind of fun because the baking soda here bubbles a little bit. Let's make sure this baking soda is nice and mixed in. So now I'm going to take out my tape. I'm going to put the whole shebang right into the baking soda bath. And I actually just leave it in here for a while I'm working on other things, just to make sure that it really neutralizes and kills the acid. If you don't neutralize the etchant, it'll continue to eat through your metal. So it's really important that you make sure that it gets some nice time in this baking soda bath. So let's let this sit for a little bit, and then I'll show you how to clean them up. Here it is, the piece rinsed, removed off the tape. Remember, this was a brass piece. As you see, the resist is still on the surface of the metal. The tape protected the back from the etchant, so it looks pretty good. We still have the marker that we applied to the edge of the piece. So let's get this cleaned up. I'm going to bring in the steel wool, and I'm just going to rub the surface, and this is going to quickly remove that permanent marker. And from the edges. That nice cleaned up. And here is what your finished piece will look like. Here are some finished pieces I wanted to share with you. These two here in the front are made out of copper blanks. And this one is really interesting. This is a nickel silver. So the reason I wanted to show you this one is, do you see the back there? It looks almost sandblasted. So this little shiny spoinkies here, that's where the resist was. And the metal that it ate away, it left this really cool matte silver. So nickel silver is really cool to use in this technique. And then these two are brass. This one here, I wanted to leave it shiny raw brass. And so what I did was I polished it up with the steel wool, and then I sealed it with our metal sealer, which is a great way to prevent tarnishing. So these are just a few things that I wanted to share with you. The options are endless, and we have a billion blanks that you can use in this technique. So have a great time.